All right, folks, another day, another positional breakdown. Today, we are breaking down the running back room. Is it the top room, the best positional group we have on the Gophers? Find out my thoughts on that today.
You are Locked On Golden Gophers.
No matter what we're going to do here, we're just going to keep rowing.
Your daily podcast on the Minnesota Golden Gophers.
However it turns out, we're just going to keep rowing.
Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
We're just going to keep rowing, and keep rowing.
You're listening to Locked On Golden Gophers, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. My name is Kane Rob, host of the podcast, former collegiate football video coordinator and recruiting assistant, here to talk Gophers with you each and every day of the week. We are back to our regular schedule of Monday through Friday. Football's back, folks. It is officially fall camp. Now, last year this time, I was in the hard everyday grind from 7 a.m., 6 a.m. until like 9, 10 p.m. on the football field, working with filming, working with obtaining practice film, game film, and prepping for our opponents. Now I'm chilling. Now I'm on the opposite end and analyzing that process. So we're going to be talking about breaking each of the positions down as they currently stand and how we rank across the conference, as well as what our projected depth chart is, in my opinion. Now, as we go throughout this fall camp, as news breaks, we'll continue to break that more updated news. But I want to get this going. I want to get it rolling for fans that are just getting warmed up back into college football. And today we are talking none other than running backs. That's right, folks. So running backs, I'm excited. Let's talk about the departures first before we dive into the depth chart. Now, departures, this room, we have quite a few departures that had an impact. They had an impact overall. So the first is Marquise Irving, Bucky Irving, for those that know him as Bucky. He officially transferred to Oregon. Last year, he was the second leading rusher on the team as a true freshman. He had 699 rushing yards and 4 touchdowns. Then you've got Kai Thomas, who transferred to Kansas. He led our team, our injury-depleted team, with 824 rush yards and 6 touchdowns. Again, a freshman. And then you have Cam Wiley, who also departed this room, transferred to Akron, and he had 6 attempts last year for 4 yards. Not very much run, but in 2020 he did see 29 attempts for 179 yards and a touchdown. So all 3 guys have had moments of impact on this roster, all transferring elsewhere. Many would look at that and be like, panicked. Oh my gosh, what are we going to do? We lost 2 of our top rushers last season. Well, folks, we suffered a lot of injuries. We suffered a lot of setbacks last season, and our depth chart and our running back room is healthy, it's looking good, and it's looking promising. So let's talk about that projected order. And you know what? The first person that we absolutely have to discuss when it comes to projected depth chart is none other than Mohamed Ibrahim. Now, he is the guy. He is that guy. He is him, folks. Mo Ibrahim, he's back. He's back fully healthy, as PJ Fleck officially declared at the Big Ten Media Days, and he will be running full speed in training camp. Today is that first day. Now, I'm recording this on Monday. You'll hear it on Tuesday, but officially today, Mo Ibrahim is back on the full practice schedule. You love to hear it. He's the most important player on the roster when it comes to division-winning hopes for this team. Now, last season, he did play in the very first game against Ohio State, and he went off in the first half. He had 163 yards in basically one half of play. 163 yards against one of the top teams in the nation, the team that went on to win the Rose Bowl, a team that never left the top 10 in the rankings last season. That is who he went off for 163 yards in the first half. The injury is devastating. He was set for a big year, and now this year, will be that big year. Now, again, we know about the catastrophic injury, but he's fully healthy. He's ready to go. In previous years, he had 1,160 yards as a freshman in 2018. He had 604 yards in 2019, and then he had 1,076 yards in 2020. He has the talent. He just has to remain on the field. Now, maybe he won't see that 30 to 40 touches that he sometimes would see on the higher end of games. Maybe we work Trace and Potts in the rotation a little bit more to keep the carries a little lower, keep the tread on the tires lower, so that way as we progress and we move forward in the season, as we're competing and get to those bigger Big Ten games, he is more healthy. He is ready to take on a bigger workload, ease him in of sorts. Now, not ease him in as in only 10 carries a game, 15 carries. No, he'll still be in that healthy 20 carry margin, maybe 28 carries. But you can work in guys like Trayson Potts, Bryce Williams, Zach Evans to take the load off and ease him back in and let him work at his speed and get comfortable with that recovering Achilles. So that's what we're looking at with Mo Ibrahim. Previous Big Ten running back of the year, and who's to say he couldn't do it again this year? He has the talent. This is the final year, and he will be out there with something to prove. Mo Ibrahim is a reason a lot of our sixth-year guys, our leaders on the field, came back because they have unfinished business, and Mo Ibrahim led that charge. So I'm looking forward to it. He can be the best back in the conference. He has the ability to be, but he is definitely a top 3 to top 5 running back in the conference, hands down, bar none, and I expect to see that production emulated as well. Now, we'll talk about the next guy on the depth chart. I've already kind of mentioned, but Trayson Potts. Trey Potts, he showed he can be a featured running back last season when he was given the load. He was given it after Mo went down. He was inserted into that heavy featured back role, and he ran with it. He absolutely ran with it. In about 4.5 games, he showed he has the high-end ability, high-end upside, and touchdown scoring potential. Now, we'll talk about his stats and what he officially put up a little bit later, but what I do want to say is that he had a very strange, very freak injury, and so the fact that he is ready to come back and ready to go, it was always up to him if he wanted to come back, if he wanted to do this thing, and he did, and he grinded through it, and he pushed. He was hospitalized for like a week after his injury, but he's back, folks. He's ready to go. And the program is in good hands with Trey Potts, not only this year, but moving forward. He's shown he can be that guy if he needs to be. So he's a running back 2 for the team this year, but maybe a running back 1 in the waiting. We have 2 years of eligibility left after this season, so 3 total. But this year he'll clearly share the carries with Mo Ibrahim. But after that, he's got 2 full years where he could take that number 1 mantle if he runs with it, if he shows the flash that he did in that short 4.5 game window. If he plays like that, I don't see why he wouldn't be one of the leaders of the room, if not the leader. Now, he also could allow him to run more in tandem with another guy. If him and Mo show out, and they show out that they can share the workload, similar to a Marion Barber, Lawrence Maroney type deal, where we've got 2 stud guys that can get it done both on the ground and in the air and share the workload effectively, yeah, maybe we stick with that type of room if we have the talent there. And so you see that with Trey Potts and Mo Ibrahim this year, and who's to say that others don't step into that role and we continue to do that trending forward if it works this year. So that'll be a big thing to kind of keep an eye on, is how that room is managed this year, especially with those 2 guys and the ability that they both have. Now, if he runs in tandem with Mo this year, again, I could see that type of outlook moving forward if it is successful. But he has the ability to be a dog, a workhorse back, and we will see how he bounces back from that injury this season. Now, third on the depth chart is Bryce Williams. Fantastic complimentary back. He reminds me not necessarily of James White, but he can play that type of do everything role. He can run it if he needs to. He can catch it if he needs to. He's a great pass blocking back. That James White, I will do what it takes for the team type mindset. And Bryce Williams, that's just the vibe I get from him when I watch him play, when I see what he's done. That's what Bryce Williams reminds me of. Now, I don't think he has the ability to be that every down, 3 down type of running back. But again, he's a perfect complementary running back, and he will be a great addition to be back healthy with this room. Now moving to the 4th string, in my opinion, this year, it is Zach Evans, true freshman. Now, we saw in the spring game, the kid's got talent. The kid showed flashes, and he's right there, folks. He can be special. And it's not just me that thinks that. In fact, he was brought up by Coach Fleck. He was brought up by Coach Shiraka. He was brought up by Coach Burns, all saying he is a special talent. They're happy to have him, and he has the ability to be really, really good someday. Now, I think this year, you might not see him take a whole bunch of carries, but he could get some. He truly could get some work this year and maybe asked to spell the 2 lead guys, especially to keep them healthier as we progress into the Big Ten schedule and hopefully towards a Western Division title, a Big Ten Conference Championship game, a huge bowl game. I mean, he could be asked to take more work, especially early on in the year as our guys are getting back to their groove of things and to make sure that we remain healthy moving forward. Now, if someone does get injured, he definitely can step in and be one of those lead back type guys. He is extremely talented. I truly believe he fell in as far as the rankings goes, the 247 rankings, the On3 rankings, whatever you use. He took a dip in those as soon as he got hurt in his senior season. And that helped the Gophers because maybe he doesn't come here without that type of situation, without that. But our coaches continued to build that relationship, to show love, and they saw the talent for what it was. And then you saw that talent show out in the spring game. Now, in the spring game, he had 11 rushes for 51 yards, on top of 2 receptions for 20 yards, and one of those was an outlandish, fantastic, reaching back, one-handed snag. And literally the play before that play, you can go watch the spring game on YouTube if you're if you're looking for more football, you're just ready to see it, go watch the spring game again. It is on YouTube right now. And you can see that one-handed grab, but the play right before, he also makes a crazy circus catch. Now, it didn't count because his foot went out of bounds, unfortunately, but he did come down with the ball, and it was impressive. He's got hands. He's got the ability to do it on the ground and in the air, and I think he will be a key piece moving forward, especially in 2023. But we'll see what opportunity provides for 2022. Now, beyond those four will be the main 4, in my opinion. Anybody else on this roster at the running back position likely will not see any or many carries. But if injuries do happen, like we saw last year with an injury-depleted room, if something crazy happens where we need to, then you have Jordan Nubin and Kendall Moore, who are both the next guys to step up, in my opinion. They're guys that will be expected to step up if that injury depletion happens once again, and they could contribute on special teams as well. So they could make the bus. They could be on that roster, like the traveling roster. Not everybody travels. I don't know if you know that, folks. Maybe we can get into the details of that in a future episode, but not everybody travels with the team. You have a travel roster, and you have guys that stay back and that are mainly scout players or mainly they'll suit up for home games. Everybody suits up for home games for the most part. But these 2 guys could make the travel roster on that special teams contributions, potentially, depending on how many running backs they want to travel. If they want to travel more than the 4 after last year's crazy injuries. Who knows? But Jordan Nubin and Kendall Moore would likely be the next 2. Nubin saw 15 attempts in the spring game for 44 yards. Not a bad clip. And then you had Kendall Moore, who saw 2 attempts for 9 yards, but he also had 1 reception for 7 yards and a touchdown from the Maroon team, from Cole Kramer, his only touchdown of the game. So both of them got a little work in the spring, have been stepping up as people went down, and we at least have the depth there. It's something that is nice to have across your running back room. Now, finally, I want to talk about Preston Jalen, Max Grand, and Cole Berghorn, all preferred walk-ons, all likely to be scout team guys who will not get much, if any, opportunities at all. They likely won't travel with the team to the away games or things of that nature. These are the guys that really... Scout team is very important, and again, it's something we will dive into on further episodes, but these guys won't see minutes when it comes to the actual game time and game days. Now we're going to move forward and talk about how this room did as a unit last year statistically, but first I do want to talk about our friends over at LinkedIn. See, LinkedIn Jobs, you can make a job post for free, and your small business will thrive off of this, folks, because they're trying to get you the right people to interview and hire faster than ever. LinkedIn, folks, there are 40 million people each day that visit LinkedIn for searching for jobs. If you are looking to hire someone, this is the perfect opportunity for you to post a job for free and help your small business find the right people. And it's all about the right people in today's professional networking world. I mean, LinkedIn, you can reach out to over 810 million people that are active on LinkedIn and create a job post within minutes. Then you can add to your profile that you're hiring, and it'll be very apparent to those looking to see where they can find their next job. They have simple tools like screening questions that make it easier for you to focus on the right candidates with the right skills and experience so you can get to that interview and hire faster than ever. LinkedIn Jobs helps you find the candidates you want to talk to fast. Did you know every week, again, 40 million people are looking for a job on LinkedIn each week? So post your job for free at linkedin.com/lockedoncollege. Again, that's linkedin.com/lockedoncollege, that you can go and post your job for your small business for free. All right, so thank you again for making Locked On Golden Gophers your first listen when it comes to Golden Gophers and Gophers sports. We're trying to spruce it up. I'm trying to get more production elements in here. You've been seeing the players that flash across the bottom. Not all players. I'm not getting every single player I ever mentioned down there because, you know what, that would be crazy. We talk about a lot of players on the show, but I'm trying to get the guys that you will likely see many stats for moving forward that we'll discuss week in and week out when it comes to the games, when it comes to the practices and so forth. So I hope you enjoy those production elements, and we're going to continue to work on more things going forward to make our YouTube element of this show fantastic. So if you haven't, and you're like, if you listen to audio podcasts and you're like, what are you talking about? Head over to the YouTube channel, Locked On Golden Gophers, and check out yesterday's episode and today's episode, and you'll see exactly what I'm talking about. We're getting fancy with it, folks. It's not like it was world-shaking or earth-shattering, but we're going to get there. We're going to get to something real special over on the YouTube channel, so be sure to subscribe and follow wherever you get your podcasts. I truly appreciate it. But let's talk about stats for the running back room as a unit last year. Now, of the returning Gophers, Ibrahim had 30 attempts for 163 yards and 2 touchdowns. Trey Potts had 112 attempts in those 4.5 games for 552 yards and 6 touchdowns in 4.5 games. In 4.5 games, Trey Potts was a top 15 back in the entire Big Ten Conference when it came to rushing yards and production. A top 15 running back in 4.5 games. If that doesn't show you that he has the ability to be something special, to be a running back one, to be a workhorse, I don't know what does. So get excited because he has that talent too. We've seen it from Mo Ibrahim, but we also saw it in flashes last year with Potts. Then you have Bryce Williams, who had 37 attempts last year for 186 yards and 3 touchdowns. all three of those guys put up rock solid numbers. They showed they can tote the rock, and it's exciting to see from this room. It shows the potential. It shows we showed next man up and do your job at its finest last season. Last year was the definition of next man up when it came to the Gophers running back room, and the Coach Burns showed his room will step up to the cause no matter what is thrown at them. So be stoked, be excited, but that proves that this room is one of the best groups on the entire team, and it's going to continue to stay strong. Think about it. We've got Marquise Williams, who is a 4-star talent guy, coming into the room next year. We've got Darius Taylor, who is a 3-star, borderline 4-star guy, coming into the room next year. This room is going to continue to be a position of strength, and it will likely be a heavy option for the Gophers moving forward. You're never going to get a 50-50 split when it comes to passing and running and whatnot when it comes to the Gophers, because our running back room is so talented. Now, it can be closer. It could be maybe 65-45, 60-40, maybe even, 70-30. Who knows? But our running back room is very talented. Now, looking across it, last year, we had 3 running backs in the top 15 in the conference, with 2 being true freshmen. Trayson Potts got in there again with 4.5 games. Now, Mo has the talent to be in the mix as the best running back in the conference, mixed in there with guys like Braylon Allen, Travion Henderson, Blake Corum, and Chase Brown. Mo Ibrahim's right up there with the amount of talent he has, with the production he has seen, with the ability that he has. He's going to be in that conversation remaining healthy. Now, the room as a unit was 6th in rushing attempts per game last year with 45.9 attempts. We were 22nd in the nation in 2019 with Kirk Shiraka at the offensive coordinator. So expect to be in that top 25 in attempts still. That's what I'm saying, folks. We're still going to tote the rock. Even though Kirk Shiraka is back, when we had 2 1,000-yard receivers in 2019, we were still 22nd in rush attempts. So we're going to run the ball. That's why this room and talking about it is so exciting. Now, we were 28th in the nation when it came to rush yards per game last season. We had 199.2 rushing yards per game last year. Now, this was likely affected by the constant change within the room. I mean, like I said, we had Mo Ibrahim for a game. We had Trey Potts for 4.5 games. We had Bryce Williams step up for about a game and a half before he went down as a lead guy. You had Kai Thomas step up. You had Bucky Irving step up. We had a linebacker in the captain taking a couple runs last season. So yes, our rush yards per game is going to be a little fluky, a little inconsistent, but even with that, we were still 28th in the nation, so I expect that to be maybe with the tick down in attempts, but the better quality as far as consistency and that better quality with a lead back in Mo Ibrahim and Trey Potts, maybe we stay around that top 25 area again in rush yards per game. Now, although we will have more balanced rushing, again, our heart and soul on this offense will still be based on the ground in the run game, and that's what makes this running back room so important. That's what makes our recruiting and adding guys like Marquise Williams and Darius Taylor to this room so valuable, because that's the heart and soul of this team. So where does this heart and soul running back room rank across the entire conference? That's what we're going to talk about next. But let's talk about Built Bar, because Built Bar has a new flavor that is back, folks. It is the cookie dough chunk. It is a fantastic Built Bar. It's a cookie dough chunk puffs. That's right. So they're marshmallow-based bar wrapped in 100% chocolate with cookie dough, literal squares of cookie dough chunks spread throughout the bar as well. And it's only 160 calories. 160 calories, tastes phenomenal, it's delicious. I would show you, because that was what I had recently, that was the box that I had. I would show you one, but I've already eaten them all. I'm not kidding when I say these things were phenomenal. They're delicious. I threw them in the fridge, got them a little cold, but they tide you over from lunch to dinner, breakfast to lunch, whatever you need, they tide that over. They're filling. They hit the spot and they're power packed with protein. This bar has 15 grams of protein. There are different bars on the site that have up to 19 grams of protein. They're perfect for after workouts. Truly, go over to built.com, use promo code LOCKED15, that's LOCKED15 for 15% off your next order and every order after that, because once you try them, once you get them and you're hooked, you can keep using that promo code for 15% off, and it's great. So head on over to head on over to built.com and use promo code LOCKED15. Now let's rank this running back room across the conference. It's easily one of the best in the conference. I'm not even going to tiptoe around the fact. I'm not going to try to be like, oh, where are we at? No, we're one of the best running back rooms in the conference, bar none, hands down. But where? You know, last year we were third in the conference in rush yards, even with the jumbled, hurt running back room. The year before that, in 2020, we were fourth in the conference. The year before that, in 2019, we were fourth in the conference. So we've consistently been a top 5, top 4 running back rushing group in the nation for the past, not in the nation, but in the conference for the past 3 seasons. Now, I believe, again, we will be right there in that top 4. Ohio State might have a more talented singular back than people in our room. That could be true. But they just don't run as much. They don't, because they have guys like Marvin Harrison Jr., like Jackson Smith and Jigba, like Emeka Egbuka, or sorry if I said his name wrong, but they've got the talent at that wide receiver position. They've got guys like Caleb Burton coming in. They've got Caleb Brown coming in. They've got a ton of receiver talent, and then they have a quarterback who is a Heisman favorite that threw for over 4,000 yards last season. They like to pass the ball. It's been something that they consistently do. Now, they churn out running backs too. We've seen it from J.K. Dobbins, Trey Sermon, Carlos Hyde, Ezekiel Elliott. We've seen this room churn out running backs, and TreVeyon Henderson is likely going to be the next NFL running back from the Ohio State Buckeyes. He's got that type of talent. But they just don't run the ball that often. So it at least puts us in contention with them. Now, I'm not saying we're a better room than them, but I'm saying we could outproduce them on the ground game based on how much they pass. Now, also, you've got Wisconsin up there as one of the most talented rooms. You've got Michigan also up there as one of the most talented rooms. So where do we fit in? Now, for me, Michigan State, we saw last year with Kenneth Walker, was right there as one of the best in the conference. He was the leading rusher for the entire Big Ten Conference last year. They've brought in Jalen Berger from Wisconsin, who could step up and do some big things. I believe they also brought in Jarek Broussard from Colorado, who could do some big things there. So good talent in that room, but I don't think it's up to the caliber as your Ohio State, as your Wisconsin, as your Michigan, as your Gophers. So I've got Michigan State in the 5th slot, but those 5 programs total will significantly lead the way in the Big Ten. Then you've got Illinois and Nebraska holding their own, and those are the schools coming up next. Purdue is absolutely the worst in the conference when it comes to rushing, so they're at the bottom of the list for me. They don't run often. And last year, Penn State was the 2nd worst in the entire conference. Now, Penn State could make a big leap in 2022 with their 2 top running backs from the class of 2022. They have Nicholas Singleton, who I believe was the number 1 recruit in all of the nation when it came to the running backs. They've got him coming in. Plus, they've got Allen coming in, who also can hold his own and was a 4-star guy. So they've got a 4-star and a 5-star coming in to their room and could take a significant leap. So where does that leave the Gophers? Well, I believe a healthy Mohamed Ibrahim is a top 3 back in the conference. Top 3. That's right. I said that. Top 3. You've got Braylon Allen, TreVeyon Henderson, Mo Ibrahim. Those are the top 3 backs in the conference. Now, yes, Blake Corum is really good. There's other really good backs in this conference. This is probably the best rushing conference in the nation, in my opinion. Big Ten has the best rushing conference. But I truly believe Mo Ibrahim is in that top 3. Trayson Potts holds his own, and he's a stud. He showed that prior, even with the injury in those 4.5 games, being a top 15 rusher in the conference. So as a unit, I have the Gophers coming in as the third best running back room in the nation. I have Wisconsin at number 1 with Braylon Allen leading the charge. I've got Ohio State at number 2. Now, again, some people might think that I'm low on Ohio State and they should be number 1. I believe Henderson is possibly the most talented back in the conference. But opportunity is just lower there because they've got rock star receivers, because they've got CJ Stroud. And so I believe this season, just talking about this year, they'll be less focused on the run game, which will bring them to number 2 in the conference, which is nothing to slough at. Number 2 in the best rushing conference in the nation. Take it, accept it, move on. So Wisconsin 1, Ohio State 2, Minnesota 3, and then I've got Michigan coming in at 4. Now, people might hate on me for this. They might be like, oh, well, Blake Corum. Oh, Blake Corum didn't crack 1,000 yards. Now, he had Haskins in front of him who did crack 1,000 yards, and he almost did, and he was injured. I get it. I get what the hope for Corum is. But I just don't see him as a better running back than Mo Ibrahim. He's really good, very talented. They also have Donovan Edwards, who also is very talented, and he is a fantastic receiving back as well. So that's why they're up here at number 4 for me. But the thing that people don't understand is Haskins was huge for that running back room. We don't know if Donovan Edwards fits that exact same mold as what Haskins and Corum did. On top of, and the thing that people don't talk about enough, is their offensive coordinator, Gattis, leaving for Miami. That is going to be felt. Absolutely. So they're going to take a little tick down, in my opinion. They also have some rock star receiver recruits coming in this year. Might need to pass the ball a little bit more, spread the love around. So I do think Michigan will come in at 4 behind the Gophers. Number 5, I've already said, I have Michigan State. Number 6, Penn State. Again, they could finish higher depending on how those freshmen shake out. It's still a huge jump from 13th, 12th to 6th. So enjoy it, Nittany Lion fans. I've got Illinois with Chase Brown leading the way at number 7. And then I have Nebraska with their entirety of their room coming in at 8th. Then I have a significant drop when it comes to running back rooms. But coming in at number 9, I have Northwestern. They had a running back last year that just squeaked past 1,000 yards, and he was their offense. He was the focus of their offense. But if they can't learn to pass the ball, and they're not extremely talented on the offensive end, besides a couple linemen that are standouts, it might be tough for him to get past 1,000 again. So I've got them in there at number 9. Number 10, I've got Rutgers. 11, we've got Iowa. 12, we've got Indiana. 13, we have Maryland. And then 14, Purdue. That's going to do it for us on today's show. The Gophers come in at number 3 across the conference. This running back room is special. It might be one of our best units, if not the best unit on the entire team. And tomorrow we are going to talk about receivers. Receivers. It's going to be an interesting show, a great one you won't want to miss. We'll talk about that tomorrow. This is Kane Rob signing off. Have a great one. I'll see you tomorrow. Peace out.